Students, this is Katie Hills from Cincinnati State, and I want to go over with you the first four steps of Tutorial 7, um, the review assignments. And so what I want to do here is we'll cover the first four steps of that, and then we'll go back in another video and I'll cover 5 through 12 in a second one, just to kind of split that up. So the first thing, it says open the tracks workbook, which I've already done right here, and locate the review folder, which we've done. And it says, and then in the documentation worksheet, enter your name and the date. So really all you need to do here is just enter that in, and then today's date. Okay. Then we're going to go over here to the employee data. This is where we kind of get into some of the fun stuff. So first of all, what I like to do is just scroll down through your sheet and see what you've got. So we've got several pieces of data here. This is more real world data. This is what you might actually see on the job. And if we scroll over here to the right, we see bonus pay grade 1, 2, and 3, a life insurance premium, and a 401k matching percentage. Now, because you're in advanced Excel, it's kind of time, we're out of the little kid stuff, I guess you might say, and now we're into real world stuff. And in the real world, you don't have a textbook telling you that the life insurance premium is 10%, or 0.10%. So what you have to do is do some things that are practical for you and that are going to work for you. So one of those things is a lot of people go off to the side of the table and they'll make something like this, where we know that bonus pay grade 1 is $3,000 and all this information. The reason we do that is if you are gone or somebody needs to come in and work on your spreadsheet, then you need to make sure that that information is readily available for them. So what I'm going to do, since I've got a fairly large screen, I'm going to go down here in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm just going to minimize that to 100%. Now that might be a little small for some people, and I have to wear contacts so I know what it's like. So but this to me is more convenient just so I can kind of see what's going on here. I can also kind of minimize these columns. I will not count your work wrong if you have minimized columns. That's fine with me, because again, this is practical real world stuff. So let's continue on. It says go to the employee data worksheet and rename the table as EMP data. That's number 2 on page 412. So I'm going to go down here and I just double click that and change. Okay. And then we've got our life insurance premium. So number 3 says employees who elect additional life insurance pay 0.1% times their annual salary. The life insurance premium rate of 0.1% is entered in cell Y5. Employees who do not elect additional coverage pay nothing. In the life insurance premium column, enter an if function to calculate the life insurance premiums. Use a reference to cell Y5 to obtain the life insurance rate, and enter 0 for employees who do not elect coverage. That seems like a lot, but really it's just the instructions for this one column. So according to that, we're looking at column O, the life insurance premium, and it tells us that the life insurance premium is located in Y5 over here, 0.1%. So what we're going to do is enter an if function to determine what their life insurance is. Now, the indicating factor here is if they choose to have life insurance. So how do we find that? Well, let's look across the table here. Okay, add life insurance. It looks like we have an N for no and a Y for yes. Now, this book is a great book because it's not, you're in advanced Excel, so we don't get step-by-step information anymore. This is real world stuff. So nobody's going to tell you that the life insurance is in column H. This is things that you need to be able to do on your own and research on your own. So let's go in here and let's write this formula. Now there's lots of ways to do this because that's just Excel, and that's okay. But what we're going to do, I'm going to use the formula bar. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's go in and write the if statement. So let's start in O2, and I'm going to go up to the formulas tab just because I like this a little bit better. I'm going to go to logical and if. Okay, so the hardest part I've always said of an if function is this part, the logical test. So this is where we're looking for the criteria that must be met in order to do the calculation or in order to say true or false. So what we're looking for here is if the employee elected to have life insurance, then the premium for their life insurance is going to be 0.1% of their annual salary. The percent is in Y5, the annual salary is in K2. So let's go right here in our logical test, and we're going to say if H2, because that's where we find out, equals Y, that's going to be yes. Now, if that's true, if they do elect life insurance, then we're going to take K2 times Y5. Now, what we must do here, and this should be something that you learned in regular Excel or 1863, we have to use an absolute reference for Y5, because as we drag this down using our fill handle, we've got to make sure that this doesn't also drag down because we're going to get a bunch of blanks. So to do that, after you click on Y5, we can press F4 to make sure that we have the dollar signs there. Now, if that's true, meaning if they did yet or have a Y to elect life insurance, we're going to multiply their annual salary times 0.1%. And the book says if that's false, we just want that to say 0. So let's click OK and see if that worked. Yes. So just a quick test, if you look down here, there's the first yes, the person that wants life insurance. And if you look over to the right hand side, there's their premium amount. So fantastic. So the next thing the book says in instruction number 4, it says all full-time job status employees over the age of 30 are eligible for the 401k benefit. In the 401k column, enter the if and functions to calculate the 401k benefit as 3% of annual salary. Use a reference to cell Y6 to obtain the 401k matching percent rate of 3%. If the employee is not eligible, enter 0. Now, here's where we go back into the if functions, but this time we're going to use an and function. The reason that we have to use an and function is because here in the 401k, instead of just saying they are over age 30, which the age is right here in column N, they also have to have one or more, or wait a minute, I'm in the wrong one. They also have to be full-time. So not only does this column N have to be 30 or over, but also over here, where are we at? The job status in column G has to be FT for full-time. So there's 2 criteria to meet. So let's start on this one. And again, I'm just going to use the if function here. And here we're going to say if. Now, again, there's so many ways to do this. You can nest the function using the name box here, or we can type the and function in here. So what I'm going to show you is what I think is the easiest way, but if you know a better way, by all means, keep your way. But in our logical test is where that and function is going to go, because that's where we're looking for our criteria. So the logical test should be what I'm going to do is click in there. Then I'm going to go up here to the name box and drop it down. Now I'm looking for the AND function in here and it's not here. So I'm going to go down to more functions. And there it is right there. So I'm just going to make sure that's highlighted and click OK. Now if you notice, we've got a change up here in the formula bar and our dialog box is different. But that's okay because we can go back to our if dialog box after we've filled in our criteria. So let's think, okay, what were the two things that they had to meet in order to get this 401k? The first one was they have to be over 30. So we're going to look at column N. So the first thing in N2, I'm going to click on N2, we have to look and see if this is greater than or equal to 30. Now when I was working through this the first time, I'm thinking, okay, they said greater than 30. Well, because our age is not broken down in days, technically anybody that's 30 years old and a day qualifies for 401k. So what we're going to do here is, sorry about that, my phone's ringing. What we're going to do here is just go on and put over greater than or equal to 30 just to cover the whole gamut, because we're going to assume everybody that's 30 is at least 30 in a day. Then down here on logical 2, they also have to be full-time. So our job status is G2. So we're going to say the second criteria that has to be met is that G2 equals FT. Now make sure that you put the FT in parentheses, meaning that it's text. We have to make sure of that. So after you've got those done, those were the two things that had to be met. Now what I want to do is return back to that if dialog box, because if you look up here at the top, I've got the first part of the if function. Now I need the second. So I'm just going to click right here in this word if up here in the formula bar. That to me is the fastest way to return back to your if dialog box here. So now if we would have typed that in, here's what it would have looked like. But again, this is a lot of stuff to have to remember, so I really like just using the dialog boxes. Alright, so if that's true, if they are full-time right here, and if they are over 30 right here, then we want to take their annual salary, which is K2, and multiply that times Y6, which is their 401k matching. Now once again, we need to use F4 to make that an absolute value, so that as we drag this down the column to copy it for the rest of the employees, we want to make sure that we're just using this cell. If that's false, the book says just use 0. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to click OK there. So if we look down through here, let's look at our first example. Are they over 30? Yes, they're 71. Are they full-time? Yes, they are. So we do have a 401k matching. So awesome job there on the first two. So that was steps 1 through 4. What I'm going to do is make a separate video that's going to cover steps 5 through 12, so that we can cover the second part, which we're going to deal with the H lookup and the V lookup, I think. Yes. So this is steps 1 through 4. I'm going to use this same file to cover the next one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to save it right there. And then I will get this posted and do the next one just as soon as possible.